Okay.
Yeah, Gillian and Bill both need to re-accept because it's recording.
Do they know that? Oh, Jill's done it.
Bill, there's a line on the top of your screen. That's got it.
All right.
No.
Well, then I clicked
Oh, you need
everything.
to switch your camera back on.
You switch your camera back on, Bill.
Oh, fair enough.
Right. Okay.
Happy now?
Yes.
Oh, look at that smile.
Right. Welcome everyone to the Democratic Services Committee of Wednesday the 5th of November. Any councillor, lay member or co-opted member who is a member of this committee and who is joining remotely must keep their camera on and be muted. If you wish to speak, press the virtual hand on the screen and begin speaking after the chair invites you in. When you have finished speaking, remute yourself. And for the purposes, today's meeting is recorded. This recording will be broadcast on the authority's website and may be used for training purposes by the Democratic Services Department. Attendees will be in view of the camera, and by attending, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings being used as outlined above. Item 1, apologies for absence.
We've got apologies from Councillor Andrew Barry and Councillor Gareth Richards.
Right. Item 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in the agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Finance Act 1982 relating to council tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. And you will see the notes there that apply to that in A and B. Any declaration of interest? No, they haven't any. So we then go on to item 3, and that's the Democratic Services Annual Report, pages 3, 4, 5, and 6. Anne Taylor, you want to take us through it?
Yeah, this report, so it provides the Democratic Services Committee with an overview of the work that the Democratic Services Department has done over the past year, outlining key developments, including the changes to the scrutiny structures when they joined Democratic Services, enhancements to the internal processes, and improvements to member support and training. So within the report, that's how we've broken them down. We've broken them down into those specific areas, just to highlight, what we've been doing over the past year. And it's quite, it's quite a lot of work that we've done, and a lot of changes have come about. So what we're doing now is presenting this to the committee so you can ask any questions and perhaps, provide feedback where you think it's appropriate, so that we can, moving forward, we can take that into consideration when we're developing new things and looking at the way that we work.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Sarah, do you want to add anything to it?
No, thank you, Chair. Well, just briefly, if I can just say thank you to the who's obviously the formal head of Democratic Services and the wider team for all the work that they've done since I've been in post over the last year. It's a journey of continuous improvement, and we will always try and involve and engage with members, before we implement any further improvements, and we'll be doing that over the coming months as well on a number of other areas across Democratic Services where we want to try and make things more accessible for you as members, etc. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Now, open to questions. Anne, I'll start with Jim, councillor. Jill Preston.
I'd just like to say thank you to Democratic Services for all the help I've had since being elected.
That's good.
That's all.
Good, thank you. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, very same as Jill, but also perhaps I'm out of order there. But when I go on my laptop in the morning, I see what emails I got on meetings. Then I go on the other part, they got others above, so you press that, they'll all come up. And why do Democratic Services Council use the two of them, the two apps? Because sometimes you go one there for the council, there's all the information filled in, and then there's in on the top list, you got others. So sometimes I got others, and I got 1 or 2 meetings or something like that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you refer to there, Bill, on your emails. But if you bring that into us, or
Yeah,
make
all right,
some,
out of order, but it's
yeah,
sometimes it comes up, see.
yeah, come and sit with us and we'll have a look at that and we'll see what's happening. Because if there are two and there's no need for it, then we can have a look at that and change it.
Okay,
Bring
great.
it in and sit with one of us.
I'll bring in Monday next week.
Lovely.
Okay. I've got a query and it's on page 5.7. And that's referring there to the, I quote, we have assessed similarly sized local authorities to estimate if we have an abnormal number of outside bodies. Everyone, however, seems to be in a broadly comparable position. But with that one, we've merged, have we merged some of the outside, or is it the members of it, I know if they're an outside body rep, some of those outside bodies have been merged.
What is, no, I think you might be mixing up with the member champions. So because we
right,
reduced the number of member champions, we merged some of those and changed the titles of some of them as well. This now is a separate exercise for the outside bodies.
Right. So does that mean that we are going to, it refers in the paragraph, we're going to get in touch with everyone in the outside bodies to see whether there is a need for a council representatives to be on it? Is that what we're going through?
Yes, Chair. So what I've asked, I mean, because we're the smallest local authority in Wales, so we've got the smallest amount of councillors. So we utilise you then quite a lot, don't we, on to service a number of different formal committees that you have to be represented on. And then in terms of the outside bodies, there's a huge amount of outside bodies for each local authority to serve and sit on and provide reps for as well. So what I've asked the team to do is just go back out to all of those outside bodies. And they are sort of within a hierarchy. So, you know, you might have the Public Service Board and different sort of groups like that, National Park Authorities, etc. Then you might have sort of lower level community groups that, you know, they tend to go down and down a little bit, but they still would like councillor representation on them. So we're going back out to them to make sure that they still exist, because some of them fold and they don't notify us.
Right.
2, to make sure that we've got an up-to-date terms of reference so that we can share that with the member who sits on the outside body. Because what we want to get to is a place where, in advance of a member sitting or attending one of those meetings, they can have a link into an officer in the council so that they can have a conversation about, is there anything that I should be raising from a Merthyr point of view or from an organisational point of view, and then some feedback to the wider council after they've been to that meeting. Just, you see what I mean, Chair? So we're not quite there yet, but the first thing is for us to go out and do a bit of an audit in terms of the outside bodies that we currently provide a representative to see if they're still in existence, how relevant they are, you know, for us to still provide a representative, and to be, you know, to get some feedback on that we can share with members.
Yeah, I think the problem, from my experience, being a rep on an outside body, is finding sufficient time
Yeah.
to attend there, because you know, the amount of responsibilities that you have as an elected member, not just for attending council meetings, but there is preparation, which is undertaken. We have pre-meets as well, which is outside the scrutiny meetings, for example. And then you sometimes find that the outside body is meeting on a day that you've got a committee meeting. So, you know, there's decisions to be made as to whether you go to that meeting. It might be clashing, or it might be close to the meeting that you're attending. So there are problems, and it's not just my experience.
Yeah.
I know there's experience elsewhere as well. So I think every member will welcome that. Well, you'll report to us what the when that exercise it has been finished.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And I note under 5A that refers to the minutes going back to the committee meetings. That's already started,
Yes,
and that is working.
yes, Chair.
So that's fine. I haven't got any other questions. Has any other member got any other questions? No.
I have pressed chair, don't come up. Oh, I'm going to kick his laptop. Come up. I support Sarah, what she's saying, to have these outside bodies in and others, because as local authority members, we don't know ourselves what's out there. Let's be honest. We'll cry eager about the time. I'll accept that as well. But sometimes as councillors, you've got to work around it. Now, I've been on Safe and Murder since we started. And I had to work different shifts, different times to get to the meetings. And it's up to individual members at the end of the day. Either you're dedicated, or they want something to work, or don't they want to work. But I'm quite happy with Sarah and taking us forward and coming back to us.
Okay. That was a comment.
Well, you have a comments as well, yeah?
Yeah, we finished questions. Oh, then, any other comments? If not, I welcome the detail in the report, because, as Anna said, there's a number of things that are happening in the background. I'm aware that we're trying to do everything to improve how systems work, and I think every member welcomes that. It's just that I think we need feedback after we carry out any particular exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we still on comments, Chair?
Yes.
On. You go. How many go in a team? 4 now. You go 4 in a team.
Yes,
So
to
the
scrutiny.
comment I'm making, are you happy with the staffing structure you got and all the work that department got to do?
We are.
Because you take another meetings as well, and from West Government, different agencies come in.
We are already, we're looking at it when our apprentice finished, we recognised that there would be an issue, and it's part of the reasons why we're looking at all the roles that we're doing, and to make sure that we're doing everything that we must be doing, and there's nothing involved in our day-to-day things that we can avoid doing. So that's one thing we can do. We can just say, right, we don't need to do that any longer, so we won't be doing that any longer. But then what we're doing then is utilising some support from the wider team as well, and that's working really well. So we're introducing the changes, but again, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you introduce a change, you've got to see if it's working first. You can't say the first time we do it, it worked and that's great, that's perfect. Or the first time we do it and it didn't work, and that means it's no good, and we'll have to we are working on it and we're monitoring everything that we're doing. So we're trying to find different ways to do things that make us more efficient. I think that's the best way to put it. You know,
Yes, thank
everybody
you
would
very
always
much.
like more stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
I will keep an eye on it.
Chair, can I?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a good observation, Councillor Smith, because in the legislation, one of Anne's sort of statutory elements to her role is to ensure that she does have the right amount of resources available to her as the head of democratic services to ensure that we can support you as members to act in a safe and compliant way. So it's something that we've got to keep under continual review, which is why we've started to put in place some of these improvements, which is why, like Anne said, we're bringing in the wider team, which is why, we've made some of the scrutiny improvements as well to try and, make that more efficient and also give the chance to the individual staff members to develop in their roles and become a bit more expert, but it's something that we have to keep constantly under review. And if Anne, as the head of democratic services, feels at any time that that the resources available to her, and that's not just staffing, that's the other resources that she's got available to her, and not allowing her to provide an adequate level of service, then she would come to me as the director to have that conversation, and then we would have to consider what else we needed. But that's something that we'll continually keep under review. Yeah.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yeah, Councillor Smith, it's a good point, because I think all members are understanding that you've got a very small team there. And it only needs annual holidays or sickness as well. You could have to carry on with doing the same duties. So it's something that I think we need to keep a careful eye on to make sure that a small team are not under undue pressure at particular points in the year.
Yeah.
And if this is at the moment being accommodated by looking at other members of staff in your wider responsibility role, as a person in charge of the department, that's fine. But I think we will need to keep a careful eye on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. If there's no other comments, I'll take you back to the recommendation on page 3, which is under 2, that members note the report and provide feedback where appropriate. Can I have someone who will
I'll move the recommendation, Chair.
Yeah. And Councillor Preston, second that?
I'll second it, yeah.
Okay. If you can all vote with your virtual hands and...
All right, here we go, yeah. See you, yeah.
Okay.
I forget where I am.
That's fine, That's been carried. Thank you for that. Now, agenda item 4 is a revision of the co-opted members' payment structure. And there are some, I think, suggestions in there about in relation to the benefits and challenges to change. Want to add to it?
Yeah. So what we want to seek agreement from committee, because what we want to do is review the way that we pay our co-opted members. At the moment, we pay them on a daily rate, but in 2022, the remuneration panel for Wales introduced the option for us to begin paying our co-opted members on an hourly rate. And when we were looking at the timeline for some of our meetings, some of the meetings are very short. So the meeting could be about an hour long, but yet we were paying our co-opted members for a half day. So the difference between that would be, as in the example, so an average meeting time, 2 hours, we would pay £105 at the moment based on the daily rate. But if we went to the hourly rate, that would change from 59 to £59.50. we thought it was significant, so we'd like to do a proper review of that because, you know, we just took that from our observations. But also there was the issue of preparation time, you know, and we had no guideline there. So again, if if a meeting was an hour long, but somebody claimed for full day preparation and then possibly didn't ask any questions at that meeting, you know, we'd have no way to challenge that person to say, can you demonstrate to us how long, why it took you a whole day for your preparation, but there was nothing, you know, no clear signs of what it is that what we were paying for. So what we want to do is do a review of whether it's appropriate to change the structure that we currently use from a daily rate to an hourly rate, but also, even if we didn't change, we think we need to introduce some guidelines on what we would consider appropriate for preparatory time. You know, should we ask any additional questions when we're accepting those claims in, or should we just accept them at face value? This isn't saying we should change. This is saying we'd like to do a review of it.
Right, okay, thanks. Sarah, do you want to add anything?
No, only, no. Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to say that obviously some local authorities across Wales have already transitioned into this new payment
Right.
structure. I think the anticipation here is that if we get agreement from committee to actually do a further review, we'd bring a report back to council then for formal approval to change the actual payment structure, if that's what the recommendations were.
So for the other authorities in Wales, you talk just
Yes,
Wales, is it?
yes.
I don't know how recent that was that they've changed, but
Over,
is it working, the other authorities, as far as you know?
If the ones that have changed it, they only changed it from last year because it was only brought in
Oh, right.
2022.
Right.
So we don't know yet. And of course, that will probably be part of the review. We'd have to reach out to them and say, has it made a difference to them?
Yeah, I mean, my other question was, there is no recognised conditions that have been approved covering the whole of Wales, so that every authority is doing the same thing.
No.
And there's not likely to be.
no,
Right, so that's
so
where,
they've left it up to individual local authority discretion,
right.
haven't they?
And my last question on that, well, it's in my mind before I ask the members. It's gone out of my mind at the moment. Bill, you are Smith, come to Smith, you asked a question, we'll come back. to
Thank you,
me.
Chair. And how many corporate members we got at the present moment?
Right, so we've only got 2 co-opted members on aspirational scrutiny that have
Right.
voting powers.
All those then? Because,
The parent governors.
right,
So they have voting powers, so they receive this payment. So the payment then for the other committees would be the lay members on standards and GAC. And it's those then that have the additional payments. Other than that, for scrutiny, it's just those 2.
so you're talking about 6?
So there's 3 on governance and audit, isn't there? And there's, yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
remember,
I was thinking of the ordinary scrutiny and the lay people that sit in there. I thought I was including them in here as well. Sorry, yeah, no problem.
and the question I just remembered is, as part of this review, will you be asking all the corporate members who would be affected by this, their views and their experience? Because obviously that's
Yes,
crucial
because
part of it.
yeah, because one of the pros and cons, what we're concerned about is if we change it without due
Yes.
consideration, then are we not going to be able to you know, and we're not going to get the right caliber of applicants then when we want to replace these, because we you know, we're not paying what they'd expect to be paid for the work that they're doing. So it isn't an expectation that we change, but I do think that because we've noted that there's significant difference, we need to understand why that difference is there and whether we need to change them. Without the review, we're not going to know.
No, I understand why you're undertaking a review, but I think we have to be very careful taking the views of all the court members affected. What the recommendation at the end of that, because the last thing that we want to do in this authority or any other authority is to for members of the public out there who may be interested, thinking, well, I was thinking of applying, but I'm not going to.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that, Chair. So I mean, and again, I think we know the value that co-opted members bring to the committees, and obviously certainly for governance and audit and standards, the 3 lay members are, one lay member, has to be the chair, and they bring a wealth of experience, as they do on all of our scrutiny committees. So we wouldn't want to discourage that sort of richness in terms of our committees. But I think, like Anne said, we're not prejudiced in what would come out of the review, but we just think it's probably incumbent on us, in terms of efficiency, to at least do the review and bring those recommendations back to you as a council.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I got another question.
Yes, go on.
And so if these guys, corporate works now, if they work 2 hours, if they go into like 2.5 hours, will they get paid the 3-hour shift or just the 2 hours?
So they would probably get, because an hourly rate, not a half an hourly rate, they probably get paid the 3 hours for a 2.5 hour shift.
I think I want to be worded as well to make sure people know, because the 2 hours, that'll work out £118, won't it?
For 2 hours.
Or I can't count.
No, 2 hours is
£60.
get my. So 2 hours is, yeah, sorry, you're right, yeah, and about £120.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So I think I only clarified in, so
Yeah.
they gave me our 2 hours
sorry,
in the day.
No, sorry, it's £59.50.
Yeah,
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, 57% less
Yeah.
for 2 hours. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I want to be worded in, didn't I? So over 2 hours they get paid the extra to round it off.
Yes, they wouldn't get paid half hourly. They'd only be
That's right.
Paid an hourly,
towards it. Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
No? Any comments?
The only comment I can make is something we're going to change. I don't like doing the change because it's costing people money. And the comments we made, if we can't get the right people in, will they do the job right? And that's a knock-on effect. And we said happening now, do we? Around the area. So that's one of my comments. A bit wary. But I suppose the case on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Preston?
Yeah, I just think that we have to save money in every corner these days. But on the other hand, we have to be careful about who we have as co-opted and will we still have them.
Yeah. And I must agree, I agree with both the comments of my colleagues. This is something that we need to do. We need to undertake this review. But when we finally finish that, it'll come back to us to make the decision.
Yeah,
Sometime.
yeah. If we agree to it, it'll have to go to full council for approval. But prior to that, if you wanted us to bring that back, we could bring some findings back to committee.
Yes, I think that it may well be better to come to us before it goes to council.
Yeah.
Because, there may well be, quite a few questions and comments, go to council
Yeah.
afterwards. But I think let us have an opportunity of looking at it. Because the last thing we want, if we can avoid, is to have really, the existing cooperative members being dissatisfied
Yeah.
and saying, well, thank you very much, I'm off.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing that we want to do. We want to keep them on board, obviously, to be fair, but we want to do something that's reasonable so that we attract the right quality of cooperative members after we've done this. Okay. Right. We go back to the recommendation to 2. 2.1, the committee note the contents of the report. 2.2, the implementation of a review on the remuneration structure for cooperative members, transitioning from a fixed daily and half-daily rate to a more flexible and proportionate hourly rate of payment be approved. 2.3, the review includes the determination of expectations and definitions around reasonable preparation time. And 2.4, the findings of the review be taken to full council for approval. Do we need to put in there somewhere before 2.4
Yes.
that after this review has been finished, that it comes to a Democratic Services Committee before council?
You can
Yes,
add that as you can add that, sorry, Councillor Smith, you can add that as a recommendation, Chair, that sort of recommendation from the committee is that it comes back to
Right.
this committee
Right,
for consideration before it goes onwards to council.
right,
We can make sure that's in the minutes.
yes. And I'm sure Councillor Smith and Councillor Preston are happy with that one.
I wrote that down already.
Yeah, it comes to us first before go to council. Okay, so you're all clear now on what you voted on. So again, can I have one of you to move the recommendations?
Yeah, move recommendation.
I'll
Together
second.
with, thank you, together
Yeah,
with the
everything.
suggested
Everything is
amendment we put in there, just back to us. Okay, if you vote for it, well, you can vote with your hands, so that's fine. Thank you very much. And item agenda 5 is the induction training program for 2027. And do you want to take us through this, please?
Yeah, so in the past, we've been, when we have new councillors come in, we've done a lot of work on an induction programme, but I don't think we've necessarily involved members, and we haven't really looked further afield than senior management and our own department. We strongly believe, especially now that we've been looking at member development and support, we've been trying to improve that. We know that we need a solid induction programme for any new and returning councillors in 2027. We've got elections next year, and obviously then the elections in 2027. So we think now is the time to start this work. So we've got plenty of time to consult and ask questions, put processes in place in readiness and plans. So that we've got a training programme that fits, not something that we think would work. So we were just bringing this to Democratic Services Committee to suggest that we do this. We will set up a working group to start looking at this and periodically bring information back to the Democratic Services Committee, get your feedback so that we build in something solid then in readiness for 2027.
Thank you. Any members got any questions?
What staff would you be looking to sit on a working group? You've got to be careful because if you're taking it forward, you can't have anybody, can you? You want somebody with a bit of knowledge.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we hadn't really considered the detail of who we would sit on this working group, and possibly what we might do as well is break it down into departments. So possibly have a working group and then invite representations from different departments so that we could have a core idea of what we wanted for induction and then have feed feedback then from them. And obviously all of that then would need to go back to corporate management team and senior leadership team to make sure that we're covering all areas, because it's very difficult. There's so much information for councillors to receive when they first start. Everything is important, but it has to be prioritised. So of course we have to have some guidance from councillors themselves, but also corporate management teams for those important issues that councillors need to come in and know about straight away, because they change all the time.
Yeah. Are you talking about a working group that's consisting of officers and elected members? Is that what you're talking about?
Probably. We haven't looked at the detail of that, but I would imagine we can't do this without the input of councillors.
No, I think it would be beneficial to have, a reasonably equal number of officers and councillors on there, to look at everything in connection with induction, because it's very important that we get a good quality induction, that new members who've been elected for the first time can say, well, looking back on it, that was really helpful to me. Right, so the actual membership will be determined at a later time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 30 members in the council, so I'm sure that we could find, an equal number of elected members there and officers to deal with this. So, you'd want this to be up and running and all agreed well in advance of the elections in 2027, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So have you got a timeline when you think that this should be all done and dusted and finished by?
Ideally, you'd want a programme, because obviously the induction programme should have different elements to it, shouldn't it? So you'd have your core training for members, like your mandatory stuff like code of conduct, different things like that, planning, chairing, that sort of thing. So we need the whole gambit of what training courses members have to undertake and when. But we also want to think about things like, I know that we've got the councillor hub, but would a member's handbook be useful for you? Contact details, relevant agencies, departmental information, like so some, like a brief on the different departments, but we would know from an officer perspective what we would like councillors to know, you as councillors would know, and only you as councillors would know what would have made your induction better, or even now as councillors in your day-to-day business, what would help you most, what's most valuable to you. So it's feeding all that in. But I would say a good couple of months in advance of those elections, because obviously you won't be here in terms of the month before.
Yeah.
We'd want that whole programme and documentation signed off by group leaders.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that I'm sure affects out any new elected member is that from day one, day after the election, they'll start getting all sorts of queries every day, every week from there on. It's being able to, and this is something that also comes with experience, is knowing exactly which department and which particular officer to contact. Okay, that's, I think, very important, that they're not sort of feeling their way around for weeks or months on end. And that's, I can tell you that, I'm not going back years, but when you come in here for the first time as elected member, it is knowing who to contact about the complaint and the right person. So I'm sure that you'll look at that and many other things.
Can I say, I
Yes.
support what Sarah just said. I think we need a little handbook, phone numbers, and the comments you made, officers' numbers, but also a little note in the bottom, officers to keep their mobiles on. because half the time, as you walk around there, you phone an officer, you might have a return phone call about 3 days. You go hunting for him, man, or wherever it is, and the people who made the complaint is having to go there. So it's little things like that affect everybody, because if we don't talk what's happening, same as we speaking now, we want feedback as scrutiny. As a member, I want feedback, the complaint I'm giving. And that's the issue I got sometimes with some officers. They just don't give you information. Not Democrat, don't get me wrong, because they nurse me, but I'm quite happy. But some officers, they say, oh, I take it now. I'm waiting for a phone call, right, from Merthyr Valley Home since last Friday. And forget about it. I phoned him this morning, I got a bonfire top house curtain, bigger than Cadrow Flats.
Yeah,
Massive. Right? So that's the part I'm more concerned about, information getting back to us.
yeah. And it's keeping information up to date, because I've experienced that, where I've tried the one number, the internal number, but there's no answer machine saying calls there. So there's a mobile number, and this is no names, no pantrail. I'm not telling you which department, but I then rang the mobile number in this particular case, and the mobile number wasn't working. It was there on the system, but it simply had, they'd finished with it, and never changed the mobile number. So it's things like that we need to be on top of, as far as electric, every day there's all sorts of queries coming in. You're trying to deal with it, and it's frustrating. If you're trying to get hold of someone, Councillor Smith has given a very good example, and you don't know, the person might be off sick, they might be on holidays, we don't know. So it's information like that needs to be available to us all the time. Any other questions about this?
I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I think it's something that's absolutely necessary. We need to bring this, up to date, and put in as much information in there that is helpful to all elected members. Councillor Preston?
I think as a new councillor, I've learned from my fellow councillors, and I would have been lost without the knowledge of Bill, Clive and Gareth Richards.
Yeah.
Right, we
That's
better
how I
go
feel.
now.
Yeah, and you will find that is important, that you talk to fellow members, but this other information should always be there and available.
But
Yeah.
Chair, and the point that you just made there, Councillor Preston, so in some local authorities, they have a formal mentoring scheme, so usually in local authorities where they've had a high intake of brand new councillors, they'll try and match them, with a more experienced councillor, so that they've got, they'll say, would you want to be part of this, and they'll have a list, and they'll train the mentors up, and then they'll just, Democratic Services usually would facilitate some meetings to start with, but they've got that contact then, you've obviously got those contacts anyway,
Yeah.
but not everyone would have that. If they were sometimes an independent member and not part of a group, that can be sometimes more difficult, so that's useful as well. And we can also consider that alongside the induction programme, because that can also be a help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've gone into comments in any cases. So has anybody got any more questions? If not, have you got any other comments that you wish to make?
No, Chair, I just welcome it us all, because when I first started a few years ago, right, we didn't have nothing, I guess. We just walked in, there's a pen, there's a door, that's it. And
Yeah.
something like we do, looking for, because in the Gurnet, 100% council houses. You don't know where it's turned in. Aye. Can we went down there to the power to the list as long as you rang 'em. But now it's all changed. But again, this will bring the new councillors into reality and say, this is what they're going to do. Because I
Yeah.
didn't know, to be honest. Same as yourself, like.
Yeah, you're right. We've moved on from those days, and you know, where you start work for the first time, or becoming elected members, you need a good quality induction training program, and I'm sure that's what we're hoping to achieve by going to dealing with this. Okay, if you go to the recommendations, page 11, under 2, the Democratic Services begin preparatory work on the 2027 Council Induction Programme with a view to presenting a draft framework to Democratic Services Committee by the Q2 of 2026. So that's your time
September,
then.
yeah.
Next September. And you set up a group to,
Yes.
you don't necessarily need to put that in the recommendations for a working group on it, see.
No, because this preparatory work here, when we say the framework, I think
Covers everything.
we were looking at more about, rather than the detail of it, is who's we bring in. Like Sarah said, do we have mentors?
Right.
Do we
Okay.
have online training? Do we have handbooks? Do we have,
Yeah.
you know, and it's the framework that we want to look at, and then what we would do then, we would have more detail once that's been agreed. If that's the framework we're going to work to, then we would have more detail then about each individual piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just want one of you to move the recommendation.
Yeah, move the recommendation, Chair.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
Councillor Smith. Councillor Preston, thank you. If we use our own hands to support this, so that's been agreed as well. Thank you. Next item is item 6. Any other business deemed urgent by the chair? I have none. Thank you very much for your attendance and your input, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. See you, ladies. All the
Thank
best.
you all. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, very good.